Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Real Talk with Tea and Bath Time. This evening, we're going to be discussing Raiders of the Lost Ark. Um, yeah, how you been? How you been, Bath Time? You been good?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I have, sorry, I got distracted by, I think, a moth. Yes, I'm good, and I'm looking forward to talking about this. This is a film that I picked, regarded as one of the greatest films ever made, with one of the most legendary characters ever created. And I gather, Tyrone, the word on the street is that you're not overly impressed with this.
I'm never gonna turn around and say that it's not a good film because there's a lot of stuff that I did like in it, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But that's just me.
All right.
What should we? All right, we could talk about Act One first. Talk about the setup. So we're going to talk about the first sequence when they're in the Peruvian temple. I thought that scene was quite interesting, actually. I'm not aware of the two people that he has to struggle against at the beginning, but he has to go through the temple, and there's lots of like booby traps at the beginning, and even though it's not my cup of tea, I thought the execution of all the traps and stuff must have took a hell of a long time to execute. With regards to the director Steven Spielberg, so I thought that was quite a good thing about the film.
Because it's all practical.
Exactly, lots of practical effects. Obviously, quite a lot. A lot of the special effects are probably dated by today's standards, but I think back then they would have been quite groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean that I think that it's kind of a prologue, isn't it? The start. It's like the end of an adventure that sort of sets up themes and characters that we'll return to, and it's very sort of reminiscent of James Bond. Where and originally, Indiana Jones is, I don't know if you know this, it is based on James Bond. It's a sort of American version. And I think that the prologue is absolutely fantastic and probably the best bit of the film. I love the directorial touches that you're talking about, but it's the sort of patience they give and the care they give to introducing the character whilst introducing the main theme, which is you see him in the darkness and then he steps into the light. And he even says to Alfred Molina's character, "Don't go in the light." And there's not a lot of thematic stuff in Indiana Jones, not a lot of deep metaphors and things like that. It's very, very simple. But light and shadow is something that we see across this film in all aspects of it. And it's done beautifully in the prologue. And I think it's so refreshing to sort of see a film where you don't have the main character as a sort of alcoholic or really depressed or stuff. He's legging it around with his hat, fighting people. I just think it is a wonderful way to start a film, and I loved it. And hopefully now you'll get my joke about Casemiro being like the big boulder in Indiana Jones when it comes to chasing him.
I think when I was doing my research on this film, I found out that they were looking for a few actors to play the lead role, but they ended up settling on Harrison Ford because obviously he'd worked on the Star Wars franchise. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if the film would have worked with any other actor because he's quite charismatic. And when you were mentioning that first bit where we first see him come out of the light, out of the shadows into the light, I thought that shot was beautiful. And he just, he's quite a handsome guy, so he would have had a lot of people going to the movie just to watch him, I suppose. But yeah, he's a brilliant actor.
It's like rewatching this film, I've got to say, it is completely carried by Steven Spielberg's direction and Harrison Ford's charisma. There's not, we've talked about Interstellar and Sinners on this podcast. Check them out if you're new. And they're both like films that are trying to say something or ask questions. And in Indiana Jones, the question basically is, what can we get an archaeologist to do? That's all they're trying to do. And even the first act structure is absolutely wild to me by modern day standards. It starts off.
There's quite a lot going on, isn't there?
Well, but it's so short.
Yeah.
It's It's
Yeah.
crazy how short it is. But so unless there's any like, how would you kind of? Actually, I should just ask you for your overall thoughts on the film. I guess.
You know what? I think with regards to the first act, I think you might think it's short, but I think a lot of it was due to budget constraints because Spielberg had to cut a lot of stuff out of the film. We'll come to one famous scene later on that he had to cut, but I'm trying to think. That bit where he was getting chased, obviously we see Belloc come in afterwards, and he basically tells Indiana Jones, you know, whatever's yours is mine, basically, and he's kind of made friends with the indigenous people. He can speak their language, and it kind of leads to a chase scene that ends up in the river, and then he's got to kind of like call his colleague to get the plane ready, and then he flies off into the sunset and escapes. I thought that scene was really brilliantly done. I think as an antagonist, the actor who plays Belloc is fantastic. A lot of the acting is done with his eyes. He doesn't. Obviously, he's a shadow of Indiana Jones, right? But obviously, Indiana Jones is more of a character who's, you know, he's a bit brash, he's a bit clumsy. Not everything happens the way it should first time. He's someone that everybody can relate to, and he does a lot more physical acting, whereas Belloc relies on, you know, the eyes. He doesn't really have to, never engages in violence. A lot of his acting is words and actions, but it's quite minimalist. And I thought that was a really good contrast between the pair of them.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I love the fact that they kind of set up these individual philosophies for Belloc and Jones. Like they've got the same job and the same goals, and they're like tackling it differently. So consistently throughout the film, you see that Jones goes by himself or with people that he trusts, and Belloc makes friends with the people in power. Like obviously this will be the Nazis later, and you see that where with the well, I suppose they're probably Incans, I'm not sure. But in terms of the acting, one of my favorite bits of acting in this film is actually in the prologue, and it is when Jones is in the plane, and just as it's flying off into the sunset, there's a snake.
The snake, and, yeah, that's brilliant, yeah.
And it's him. It's the way he goes, I hate snakes, and clenches his fist and says, I hate them. Because in that moment, I think you need to be big and dramatic and a bit caricatured because you're actually flying in a plane. You know, you can't do subtle eye things and stuff. You've just got to sort of be really visual. And I also love the way he strokes his beard when he, like, it's a silly thing because a bag of sand is not going to weigh the same as a gold idol. But I love it where he sort of looks at it and strokes his chin. I think it's like just rubbing his beard. I think it's a really cool moment, and I think that we should probably get on to Belloc being the shadow in Act 2 because that's where they literally just say it. They don't show it. They just say, "I'm your shadow, Jones." But yeah, it's fantastic. And then the next bit that I love is that you're talking about the contrasts between Belloc and Jones.
Yeah,
I love the contrast between Dr. Jones and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I really like that scene. I found that scene quite entertaining. I found it really good, where you're kind of like in the classroom and you can see all the female students just like swooning over him. I thought that was brilliant. And then apparently, so obviously there's one female student who closes her eyes and it has the words "I love you" or "love you" written on them, and he's a bit taken aback. Apparently, that wasn't a director that wasn't Spielberg's decision. That was something the actress had actually thought of herself. So I thought that was a really nice touch.
I mean, really good. It is a close up. So like they saw it and they were like, yes, let's put that in when she's probably just trying to like advertise herself to Harrison Ford. I don't think she's acting there. But for me, the thing that I love about it, and it's really interesting because we only see Dr. Jones for like 2 scenes in this film. The end, like, you know, we very rarely see him, but I love the contrast of like, you know, I love order and chaos. And I think that lots of films are about kind of balancing order and chaos. And to see this really uptight, by the numbers sort of professor after what we've seen him go through, it recalls, I think, obviously, the idea of a superhero where they have like an alter ego or a costume or something. And I was just interested in not only how he portrays them differently, but who you think the real him is. Do you think it's the guy, you know, being dragged under buses fighting Nazis? Or is it this guy who just loves archaeology and is trying to show his love of it?
That's a good question. First of all, when I was watching the film and I saw the contrast, it kind of reminded me of the contrast between Superman and Clark Kent. The kind of like superhero who's indestructible and he'll take on everybody, in comparison to, you know, the man who does his job and, you know, gets kind of socially awkward when certain things happen, like girls swooning over him and that. I think that's a good question. Who's the real Indiana Jones? I think the real Indiana Jones is the Doctor. I think they're one and the same. I think when we see the violence, that's him basically doing whatever it takes to get whatever artifact he's looking for in a museum. Because I think he's doing the archaeology so people can see the history of what's happened in the world, whereas obviously Belloc is doing it for power and financial gain. I think that's the one difference between those two characters. One's doing it for the love of archaeology and to do what's right, and then one's doing it because of the money and obviously the power that it brings.
Yeah, I'd love to see how it plays these days in sort of more like cultural aware times, you know, where we, as the British, we always get told off for nicking statues from like Greece and things. And his big kind of mantra is it belongs in a museum, it belongs to the people, that he's there to share. And when we get to Act 3, I think they actually kind of meld both Dr. Jones and Indiana Jones together. But it's just such a cool idea that your teacher like is actually James Bond, like with this kind of secret life and things. And then we go into the exposition scene with the they're clearly like CIA or something, aren't they? Army, and so this is where we get introduced to the idea of the Ark of the Covenant being a weapon. We get introduced to the Nazis and the importance of it and stuff. And I quite like historical fiction. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel this invents that kind of Dan Brown stuff of, you know, like of like these things from myth are actually true. And I wanted to know how you felt about that and the atmosphere in the scene and how that was all sort of done by the performers.
I liked how they visually showed the Ark of the Covenant in the books, and he was showing them, look, this is it. He was explaining it to them. Quite cool visually, from a visual standpoint. It was quite interesting. And I think if I'd kind of watched this film maybe when I was a kid rather than an adult, I'd probably have more of an appreciation of the wonder of it, maybe. But yeah, it was a really, really interesting scene. You know, typical army intelligence guys, you know, don't have a clue what they're doing, but they want something from you and they're willing to pay you for it.
Oh, right. Okay. I saw it more as the government, to be honest, than that. But what I loved about it is there's a slight moment of supernaturalness in it, where the music changes. I think there's a breeze or wind or something, and I think it's dead important to, if you're having a film with ghosts or the supernatural, it has to be introduced as early as possible. So it's not like, oh, hang on a second, like vampires are here now. Like, I really like the fact that it sets this up as the undercurrent of a biblical tale. And obviously we know Steven Spielberg is kind of famously Jewish, isn't he? He's one of the most famous.
Well, that's one of the reasons why with this film, it's like obviously it's a fictional story, but it's almost, you know, getting back at the Nazis. That's one of the reasons he decided to make this film.
It's like Inglourious Bastards, isn't it? I mean, because one thing we can't skip over is this film is so incredibly violent. Like, 100 odd people must die in pretty nasty ways in this film.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it is wild the amount. I mean, even in the prologue, like there's
yeah,
crazy stuff going on.
yeah, 100%.
And
I mean,
and also,
the guy. Sorry to interrupt. You know Molina, the actor who is with him at the beginning.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Obviously, when I saw that he died, I thought, oh god, it's so dated. But obviously, I found it a bit comical. But it's just amazing how quickly someone like that dies straight away in the film. Because I thought he'd be in it for a bit longer, but he wasn't. He was only in it for that first scene.
yeah, I think that's really
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that it plays with audience expectations, because we obviously
Yeah.
know Alfred Molina now as quite a big actor. He's Dr. Octopus, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful actor. His surname means windmill in Spanish.
Okay.
And you sort of think, right, this guy's going to be here. He's going to be like the Sancho Panza to Indiana Jones's Don Quixote, and then he's just butchered like by these crazy Incan traps. But yeah, the violence is insane, and also we're obviously going to be speaking about Nazis and Jewish history today. I'd like to give a big shout out to the British Jews, certainly the ones in Manchester, as there's the time of recording. There's been an awful terrorist attack, and we don't want anything going on with civilians. So shout out the Hebrews or whatever.
100%. Yeah.
But having said that, we then get the kind of bridge into Act 2, which is one of my favourite stylistic things in Indiana Jones, which is showing an old map and then that red line as the plane flies over. I love that. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what I liked. I don't know why I liked it. Maybe I've seen it in other films that have taken the inspiration from it, but I do like that. I do like the visual of it.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, because at some stage we're going to watch things like Apocalypse Now, which I've never seen, and Full Metal Jacket, and I'm always a little bit concerned about watching these films because what was great about them has been taken by loads of other films, and now it might seem a bit passé. And I was wondering, like, watching Indiana Jones, like I don't think there've been anything like this in terms of sort of big budget practical effects with this adventurer thing for 20 or 30 years. But now a lot of it must seem quite cliched because, I mean, I call it the Simpsons factor, where so many things I haven't seen, I've seen in the Simpsons. And you must have seen the opening hundreds of times in different media and so on. And does it still hit properly, or is it, I don't know, a bit bland?
It does, but what I've noticed when I was watching the film, all the other stuff that I've seen apart from Indiana Jones, I realized where they got their inspiration from. So obviously, video games like Metal Gear Solid, where you have to hide away from people who are chasing you. There's a scene later on in the film that reminded me of Metal Gear Solid, and Hideo Kojima has paid homage to Steven Spielberg and Indiana Jones as one of his inspirations. I'm trying to think. Tomb Raider.
Obviously, yeah. Uncharted,
yeah, Drake's Fortune. So all these things have all come about because of Indiana Jones. So I don't watch it and think, oh, it's a bit dated, or other stuff's come and made it irrelevant. I think it's always important to look at the pioneers. So to be honest, I'm more of a fan of older films anyway. I'm being honest.
I actually did find some things quite dated in this, and I don't think that they worked well because this film, to me, because this is the film that I picked, is I think it was the only film that BBC Scotland ever had, because every time we went on holiday, we'd stay at my uncle's, and it was always on. Maybe it was a videotape or something, but it was easily my favorite. That and The Monster Squad were my favorite childhood films. But yeah, so that concludes Act 1. Do you want to say hello to anyone or anything? Or just steam on?
I would have steamed on, but I think it's only right if anyone's in the viewers. I am Titanium is in the chat. Tyron, is there an issue with your volume? I'm not sure. I think you should be able to hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. 1 second. We go to a few comments. Football movies and quizzes. Raiders of the Lost Ark shows that being brave, smart, and respectful of sacred things beats greed and evil every time, all while embracing a thrilling adventure. I agree with that. Tyron and Darius, is your movie going to be about a vampire astronaut professor searching for ancient artifacts? Now, we don't have the budget for that, mate. I'm sorry.
We're quite close to filming though now, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Nah, well, I think if you can hear me, everyone should be able to hear me, mate, to be honest. Should we press on?
Yeah, V, if you can, like, V and Titanium, can you just tell us, like, if the volume's okay? Because we don't want to be wasting your time, so we can just do this backstage.
Yeah. If you guys can hear me, let us know.
And let us know what you thought of the film if you've seen it. Certainly if you've seen it recently, and how it, like, why have I been relegated? You're bigger than me now. But yeah, like let us. It's just me. Hello, as it should be. Could you come back, please? All right. Honestly, this is why. Okay, all right. Let's just do it like this, I guess.
I'm still learning, guys.
Yeah. Okay, it's good we can hear you. Wicked. So that is the first act, the sort of the setup. I think it is masterfully done, and I love how quick it is. I think that for things like adventure films, like I remember there was a film called The Mummy that was kind of based on this, and also I have the same thing with Jurassic Park, where you kind of want to get to the dinosaurs being free as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like certainly in sequels and things, like maybe with like the Alien films, they kind of get, you want to get the thing on your face, it popping out of someone's tummy as quickly as possible to kind of get to the main event. And I think it's great that there's a mini film at the beginning, then there's like, this is what we're doing, and then we're off on a plane and we land in Tibet.
Yeah, but I think we missed something from Act 1. Should we talk about the first meeting with Marion, when he meets Marion in the bar?
Well, that's Act 2.
Is that what you'd call it? Because when I was looking at the structure, it was still Act 1. Oh, but if it's Act 2, we can go there.
I think that, so you normally have a bridge into Act 2,
okay.
And it's normally a new world, right? So Act 1 is about establishing the old world, and Act 2 is separating from the old world, going to the new. And that separation for me is when he gets on the plane and you see the red lines. Like that's moving to a new world. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I think Act 2 is. But if other people say Act 2 is going to Egypt, no problem.
Everyone's different, I guess. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I thought that scene was quite good. I thought, you first meet her and you think, bloody hell, she reminded me of Princess Leia. It was like a love-hate relationship all over again, like he has in that Star Wars series. But yeah, you can kind of tell they've had history in the past.
Yeah, some dodgy there. I was just a child, yeah. Dr. Jones.
Yeah, so they admitted like years later it was a bit of a clumsy line. They should have established like how old they both were, but it's one of them things, I suppose.
Well, I think she's wonderful, by the way. You know that kind of feisty energy she has, which you used to see in a lot of 80s films. Like, she slaps him, then she flirts with him. Like, and also, what's great is she's absolutely hammered in the first scene. She's been drinking with all these Sherpas and things, and it's such an interesting like introduction to a character who you would think would be a kind of damsel in distress, like Princess Leia, as literally a princess, like in a cell.
Yeah.
But here, this is her world, like, and she's the kind of master of it. And I think, to be honest, I think it goes on a little bit too long, the action scene. but the whole thing is great. I love it. I love this scene. So tell me what you think about it and so
There was one thing that made me laugh because I believe one of the actors is clearly a Caucasian actor who they've used makeup on to make him appear to be East Asian. I thought that was a bit dated. Um, I thought the bit where he goes to pick up the amulet and he ends up burning himself. I thought that was quite well done. He's quite. I can't remember that guy's name, the German guy, but he's a really bad villain. He was really good, like a pantomime villain, but he played the part really well. Especially the bit where he's about to place the hot iron on her face if she doesn't give him what he
yeah,
wants.
he's in it for the love of the game, isn't he? He just loves hurting people. Well,
Yeah.
I mean that is kind of like almost the archetype of the Nazi officer. A little bit weird, a little bit nerdy, extremely evil and serious. And I think it's what I think is so cool about it is so obviously he burns the amulet. So Marion's father, Aben Ravenford or something, was Jones's Ravenwood. Like
I think it's Ravenwood, yeah.
He's his old professor. Jones betrayed him by having an affair with Marion, and Marion has got the medallion that they need to discover some sort of room in Tanis. This has all been explained beforehand.
The Temple of Souls? Is it the room of Temple of Souls?
Yeah, the Well of Souls.
The Well of Souls, sorry, yeah.
And like for quite a long time, we don't understand how the Nazis are like able to like they know where they're looking, and it turns out it's because Mr. Nazi like burnt his hand on the medallion, and they've used it as the kind of thing, and it's something that I think you see repeated quite a lot in these type of films, but that's one of the first times it's in, and I really like that they don't show it. And I also love the ending to this little scene where Marion's house is on fire. She's back with the man that broke her heart, and she's just showing him the amulet, going, "We're in this together, Dr. Jones.
We're partners. We're partners now."
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good line.
Yeah, I loved it. And like, obviously you're talking about the kind of, I don't know, like the brown face or whatever the term that's used in this. This happens quite a lot in the film. Like the representations of ethnic stereotypes are something that might actually be quite accurate to the 1930s of having like bad teeth and stuff, but they're not like acceptable in today's.
I didn't like it.
No, I mean, because they're very obviously like evil caricatures in a film with Nazis. Like
it made it like panto. It made it like more of a panto, didn't it? In some time when you were looking at it.
Yeah, but it's I understand the choice because they're just like these people are evil. Like like the monkey man is like do you know he's actually
one eye?
Do you know that's the same actor from the prologue? That
I thought that I thought it was because he dies at the beginning, but I thought why does he look like the other guy?
It's an odd choice, isn't it, to show well whatever, but like that guy is clearly evil, but then you have like Mohammed Salah, or what I forget his name, John Rhys Davis, who is he's clearly good and
Great
stuff.
actor.
So yeah, Gimli, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I thought he was brilliant. Yeah.
So I think they can get away with like sort of this being described as like a racist or stereotypical film because they show like good and bad, but they do lean a bit too heavily like on stereotypes, and I think it's important to hate people individually, not as a people. But yeah, like so yeah. I mean, I really like this, and like, did you see? The thing is that with the chemistry between two actors that fancy each other, it's very obvious when it works. And for me, I think it works really well.
I love that first scene in Cairo where they're sat with Salah's family and the monkey's there. And you can see Marion and Indiana Jones looking at each other, and you can see like the look of genuine like admiration and love. I thought it was a brilliant scene. And I just love the fact that Salah's a guy who's got a family now, he's got a wife. He's happy. He's always joking and laughing. He's a great contrast to Indiana Jones, and I thought it was quite important to have those family elements within the film. You know, the fact that it's not just action and violence the whole way through.
Yeah, I think it shows what Jones could have been. Like,
Yeah.
It kind of shows what him and Marion might have been like, just out in Egypt digging stuff up, having a happy family and things. But I've got to say, the Cairo city scenes, I know one of the most famous scenes is like in all of cinema is in this section where the guy takes out his sword, does a couple of tricks, and Jones just shoots him. Like,
that's so funny, that scene.
Yeah, I mean that is
hilarious.
That is a good scene, and I'm sure everyone knows the story behind it. That Harrison Ford had the shits and he couldn't film the fight scene, so they just shot him. But we all love that scene, but the rest of the Cairo city scenes didn't really land for me. Certainly the stuff about Marion in the basket.
I think it could have worked. I don't think the execution was there. I like the idea, the fact that she's hidden, but I'll be honest with you, the fact that they had like someone on this film who could train a monkey to do what the monkey does in the film, I thought that was brilliant. The fact that the monkey is helping them catch her, I thought, wow, the fact that you can train a little monkey to do that is brilliant. I like that bit.
I just look, when I'm watching that bit, I felt like I was watching a kid's film. Is what I kind of thought I was watching, and it is, you know, it's like Star Wars.
It is a kid's film.
But so that bit didn't land to me, and it's kind of like that sort of traditional French farce of someone goes out one door, then they come out of another door, and all these things. And I think it's cool because that is like Cairo, and there's you know, it's great when you see these films that have huge casts of real people, like all the background actors and things. Like it really adds kind of a flavour to it, but. None of that landed for me. Although I've got to say that there are then two scenes that I think are wonderful.
I think the Cairo scenes were hard because obviously they were filming in Tunisia. There was a lot of the heat out there was apparently unbearable for a lot of the actors. It wasn't just Harrison Ford who got ill. A lot of the actors got ill out there, so it cost him a lot of like time and money to kind of film stuff. And in the end, they just had to kind of rush a lot of stuff, especially with
kind of shows.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell 100%.
And obviously, the kind of big dramatic point in this is Marion's death. Did you believe it for a second?
No.
Yeah, annoying when they do stuff like that.
You know what else I didn't like? He doesn't look visibly distraught later on either.
Yeah.
I thought that was right. I didn't think that was very good. You don't even. Do you really? But you didn't believe she was dead because you've not cried. You've not expressed any sadness. I thought.
Oh, like you mean Indiana Jones doesn't believe?
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to believe she's dead, but I don't see any. I don't see any emotion in him. Like you've just lost someone you apparently care about. Where's the? You're not even grieving. He doesn't grieve at any point.
There's a later scene where he meets her again. And I think it would have been. I think maybe it would have worked if Marion had been told that Jones thinks she's dead, and she's going like, "Look, I'm not dead," and he's like, "I don't care. We've got bigger things to fry at the moment." Because he then ties her up again and gags her, which I found very funny watching it because Indiana Jones is a pragmatist above all, and he also loves pointing his fingers. But all right, there are two scenes, and I think that this is where we're really going to get on to a really, really big point in this show, which is the meeting of Belak and Indiana Jones again. And I just want to preface this with a few things before you take over here, Tyrone, because I know you're excited about this. Yeah, there's a couple of things why I think this scene is not only important but really cool. The first goes back to Act 1, where Jones says, Marcus, it's just folklore or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I forgot to mention that bit because there's a guy telling him, this is the biggest job you've ever gone on. I'm worried. Marcus says, I'm worried. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what this is about is Jones sees these things as historical artifacts, not things of power. And when he meets Balak, one of the first things Balak says to him is it's a radio to God.
Yeah,
So
it's a radio transmitter. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so right, already you can kind of see that there's a difference between them. They're the same person essentially, but there's a difference between them. But also Balak is even more bloody evil because he's given it to the Nazis. The Third Reich with the bloody Ark of the Covenant at the head of them. Awful. And then the other thing is this. I absolutely love this. He just says, "I'm your shadow." If a little push is all it would take to make me like you, to make like you like me, and so I just love the fact that they just say it. Like normally these are the things that we have to say, like Gollum is the shadow to Frodo, or like Darth Vader is the shadow to Luke Skywalker. Here they just state it, and I find that quite refreshing, to be honest. But I want you to talk to me about the concept of a shadow and what it's like for an actor.
I'll get there in a minute. I just want to talk about the lines that I kind of found quite powerful in that scene.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So obviously he's invited Indy to sit, and he's basically telling him, you and me are very much alike. Archaeology is our religion, yet we have both fallen from the pure faith. That's quite a powerful line because it's kind of like intimating that they're both doing it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Our methods have not differed as much as you pretend. I am a shadowy reflection of you. Like you mentioned, it'll only take a nudge to make you like me, to push you out of the light. So there we go again. They're mentioning the light and dark again, like we mentioned. And he tells Indy, it's true. But you'll notice in the scene, he doesn't actually get up and say, you're wrong, I'm nothing like you. He just sits there because I think deep down he knows it's true. And I think. So, what was you asking? What does it mean to me as an actor to have a mirror image?
Yeah. So, like Balak and Indy are the same sides of a coin, right?
Yeah.
And when I was watching this, I was thinking, who takes the lead? You've got to assume that the Balak actor is taking his lead from Harrison Ford. Like Harrison Ford's going to act in a certain way, and he's got to do it similar but different, as it were. And like with the writing, like Indiana Jones is isolationist, American, etc., etc. He's French, sophisticated. He's everything that Jones isn't, but they got the same job. But for actors, like I think that you're so correct about how saying that they're basically anti-heroes. Like both of them. They're utilitarians. It doesn't matter how they get there. It's if they the ends, not the means, is what it's about. So for Jones, he can go and murder loads of people and rob some indigenous people of their stuff, and Black can work with the Nazis, no problems. But I think that both of them see themselves as heroes. Like Balak is quite honourable in some ways, like the way he treats Marion.
Especially with Marion, he treats her with respect. He makes sure she's fed and has water. So
yeah, and it's interesting. Marion's got a type because I think I actually would have liked a little bit more of a growing romance between them, to be honest, because he's the same as Jones, but he's different. He's sophisticated. He's French, and he's not rough around the edges. And I want to know, like, about how you would sort of like how you do this as an actor. So, like, you get the lines and you've got choices to make as an actor. Did you see any choices that Balak made, like because of things Harrison Ford had done, or vice versa?
I'm trying to think of one of the most obvious scene. I think with regards to Marion, I think he knows about her history with Indiana Jones. I think that's something. It's not implied in the film, but I think he does know. And It's weird. I don't know. When I was watching it, I thought Belloc, he kind of shows more affection towards her than Indiana Jones done. I don't know if that was a deliberate intention by the actor to do that, but it was weird at times. It looked like they had a bit more chemistry. Maybe I'm wrong.
So what about the portrayals from both of them? Like, what did you notice?
Yeah, I noticed that Indiana Jones, he doesn't speak as much, so he's not as articulate. A lot of his actions kind of like tell us what he's going to do, whereas obviously Belloc is more sophisticated. He's someone who's going to basically talk you to death, use big words, that sort of thing. Very, very... I thought his French accent was excellent, actually. It was quite subtle, but you could kind of tell that it was there. You kind of like know that he'll do anything to kind of like, even if it means like wiping out Indiana Jones, he'll do anything he can to get hold of that Ark of the Covenant. Whereas, I don't know, Indiana Jones, like Harrison Ford, kind of, you can see that he's got morals. I think there's a point at which he won't go beyond, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, watching this, I sometimes, I don't know if you agree, I sometimes think that movie stars just play themselves. You know, like Tom Cruise is a very obvious one. And in his performance here, I don't see too much of a difference between Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Do you know what I mean? But Belloc, I think, gives a much more, I forget the French guy's name. Belloc gives a much more nuanced performance. And like, I can't really, so I'm not an actor, so I don't really know how he kind of conveys that. It's not just the writing, it's the way he holds himself. It must be the way he moves and the kind of...
He doesn't move much. If you watch the scenes carefully, he doesn't really move much because he's already got the power of stillness. So, yeah, I mean, that's the main difference I noticed between both of them. You've got one who will say his lines with delivery and he'll use his piercing eyes to get the point across. But he won't use as much movement because he doesn't need to, because he's already got the power. Whereas it's obviously Harrison Ford, it's obviously Indiana Jones who, you know, does all the physical acting, should we say? All the, you know,
what's the power of stillness?
When someone's still, if you're watching an actor, whether it's on stage or in screen, if they're still and they're speaking, you kind of take notice of them a lot more because you've got less to distract you. You kind of you kind of looking, you're zoning in on their face, you're listening to every word because they're not doing anything. They've not got a gun in their hand. That's another thing. He doesn't get violent at any point because he doesn't need to. You know, he's got the power of he's got men working for him. You know, he's got all the power in most of the scenes because all he has to do is say something and it will get done. So. Yeah, I thought his performance was brilliant. He was actually my favorite actor in the whole thing, alongside John Rhys Davies, who plays Salah. I thought those two were my favorite.
I really like the captain of the tanker.
Yeah, he's been in a few things actually. That guy, I can't remember his name. He's been in
I think the way he does friendliness and menace, I thought was fantastic. Where he's like, "Let me keep the woman." And stuff like that. I thought he was. I thought, God, that guy's good. But is there anything more you want to sort of talk about in terms of the performance of Belloc and of Indy?
I'll be honest. I don't know why we always end up agreeing on stuff because I don't want to agree with you all the time. But you know, I'm kind of watching Indiana Jones in this, and I was thinking, you know, it is a bit like, you know, just watching Han Solo, and I thought the love-hate relationship with him and Marion, it was so similar for me to the relationship you see with Han Solo and Princess Leia. I just thought, had they just gone with like a winning formula of what worked in previous movies and decided to do it here? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I love how big Harrison Ford is in a lot of these scenes. Like we've obviously talked earlier about where he's on the sort of the plane that can land on water, and he's saying his dislike of snakes, and it's so big the way he does it. And I love how Belloc is the kind of guy who will stir his tea 3 times, like sort of chink it, and then do it like so. It's everything's so measured, and I think that really kind of plays into the characterization between the two. Is that there's even a scene where Indy goes, "I'm just going to make it up as I go along," and that's the kind of like when we talk about order and chaos, they're the same side of the same coin, but there's too much order with Balak, and that's because the Nazis are authoritarian, too much order, and Indy is a bit too free. The way he kind of the way he can just leave his job and go off and fight Nazis, and the way that he just leaves Marion to go off and do something else. There's a lack of sort of responsibility, which obviously these things change as the film goes along. But as a person, I'm never really impressed with Harrison Ford. He's always a boring interview guest and things, but he's so good at these sort of like these rogue anti-hero roles. And Indiana Jones is just magnificent to me, the character. And I like how he's funny, but not Marvel funny, where it's jokes the whole time. But we should probably check in with the comments, make sure they're behaving.
1 second. Going down. I'm having a bit of trouble moving this down today. I don't know why. There we go. To be honest, they're just talking about it amongst themselves. Have each other watched it and all that?
Well, shout out to Richard.
Yeah, shout out to Rich. Thanks for coming in, mate. I appreciate it.
Like, let us know any of your theories or stuff on the film, or like what we've been talking about and stuff. Like, everyone kind of knows the production stories about the guy getting knifed, or like the guy with the knife getting shot and stuff. Like, if you've got like fresh things, we'd love it. But now, Tyrone, we get on to a scene that I adore, and it is the monkey date scene.
The point where they poison the dates. Yeah.
I just think, do you know what's so cool about it, right? Is it's once again, it's an exposition scene, right?
Yeah.
You've got to go to Tanis. You need this amulet that for some reason he still has. You've got to, they're like, great. The Nazis won't know where to look. There's a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
But what I love so much about it is that there's also constant danger throughout it, because as an audience, we know that the dates are poisoned. And Indy is, I'd say, it's quite cliched, but he's like flicking the date up in the air. He's about to eat it. He doesn't eat it. And then Mohammed Salah saves him by, going, bad dates, Indy. And I think it's a perfect, thank you. I just think it's a perfect way to do an exposition scene where you're getting the information, but there's also something inherently dangerous at the same time. And I find that really refreshing, as opposed to, getting sat down with a PowerPoint from the Avengers saying we've got to go here to kill him. I think that I just think this is a great scene, and I really enjoyed it. And what were your thoughts on that one?
Again, I think I'm kind of looking from a practical point of view. I'm kind of looking at it and thinking, the actors have delivered all the lines beautifully, but for me, it was just seeing the monkey just dead. I thought, oh my god, man, it's been the star of the movie. How could you get rid of it so soon?
Well, the monkey's really weird as a character, isn't it? Because it's nice at the start, and then you find out it's a villain, and then the monkey loves that guy, and he dies for him, and it's like a really weird. It's like a really weird sort of thing. I was a bit upset the monkey died as well. I thought it was gratuitous, but what a bastard that monkey was. He told on Marion, like he got
Yeah.
I don't think we ever see that guy again, do we? Like,
I think that's the last time. You wouldn't think I'd watched it twice, but yeah, I think that's the last time we see him.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because literally everyone dies in this film, but not him. Like, even the monkey gets got, but not him. And then we get to the digs and the reveal that Marion is alive. this is where the film really gets going for me, because I love deserts. Like, it's very Lawrence of Arabia coded, and there's beautiful sort of sunsets and things. And this is my favourite bit of the film. What were you thinking?
I loved like the bit where he's going down. You see like all the murals on the walls. I thought that was pretty coolly done.
Oh, is this in the Well of Souls?
Yeah, I think all that stuff might have been done in Elstree Studios actually, but obviously whoever built the set, shout out to you, because it looked very believable that he was in the tomb. I thought that was really cool.
Well, there's a couple of things that happened before that I really, really like. I like we get the call back to the drinking game in the pool from Marion, where she's trying to take.
Oh, her and Belloc.
Yeah,
that was funny. That was a funny scene. That was a really funny scene.
Well, I like the fact that you're not actually quite sure if she is a bit mental and she does like him or not. Like,
it's crazy.
Sorry?
I never changed my opinion of her. I've always thought she's crazy from the very minute.
yeah, I think she's great. I like her feistiness. I like the fact she tries to solve problems by herself. Like, I really like those kind of characters that sort of think, I'm going to make this world my own. And
she reminds me of someone.
Who? Me?
No, she reminds me of a crazy Irish person I met once and spent 2 weeks with. But
oh, right. Oh, nice.
And she was a drinker. She was a drinker as well. Oh, she's a nutter. Maybe that's why I found the character quite endearing, because she reminded me of someone from the past.
Yeah, I really like her, and I also really like this very stupid scene where the Nazi comes in, and you think he's going to like whip her or something, and then it turns out it's a coat hanger, and it's
that was brilliant. Yeah, that was excellent. And he's got someone literally holding up his coat.
Yeah,
the hanger. Like, not doing anything else, but just holding up his coat. I thought that was ridiculous.
It's so dumb, but it's great. But once you get it, I think it works so well because it's a joke. Like,
yeah.
And you do think, because it's like, I think it looks like nunchucks at one point.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's the Nazi doing with nunchucks? And then it's his coat and things, and then he does the Heil Hitler. So he's got like, you can see, you understand how they've got the amulet to put on the is it called the Amulet of Ra or something?
I can't remember.
But he's got the amulet. And the thing that
take out Nazis, that's what it's all about, really.
What I also like is it's the first kind of clue we get that Balak is a little bit in over his head here. Like, because when you see him in Peru, the villagers or the indigenous people, whatever it is, la gente, they think he's a god, and he's like, giving them orders and stuff. But the Nazis, he's just like a contractor. Just get in, get the relic, and fuck off. Like, and they're not treating him with respect and things like that. And you kind of see this is the start of him getting his choices wrong. And then we get Salar and Indy. And I absolutely love it when they have these really well done but very dated special effects from the 80s involving clouds. Like, so when they're digging on that site,
the lightning.
Yeah, and the supernatural comes in, and you're like, oh yeah, this is a supernatural film. And I think it's great because it's sort of like you've got the current danger of the Nazis and getting caught, and then you've got this sort of existential cosmic horror, because one of the big things in the film is, I think that Denholm Elliott's character says some powers were not meant for men. Yeah. And this is the kind of first thing that you're messing with something that you don't understand. And I like that, because at this point, Indy thinks it's historical and it's not, it doesn't have any power. Or those kind of powers. I've just realised that you're a bit like shot like Indiana Jones tonight. You've got half your face is in shadow, and there's a big and there's a big sort of silhouette behind you. It's very apt.
I tried my best to set it up that way. I'm glad you noticed.
Nice.
I just want to say, so Bilal saying, "Gotta go, lads. What's the next film we're watching?" Mate, thank you for coming in and tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm not too sure what film we're gonna do next, but we'll definitely post it up.
Yeah, we'll decide at the end of the show, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll decide later.
All right, pop back in half an hour.
Yeah. You know
So
what?
now,
On reflection, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying talking about it, actually.
yeah, are you like?
Yeah.
I just think that there are some films that you're meant to watch with people, like you know, like sort of feed on the energy and stuff. And the sense for me, Tyrone, the thing is that I've always been fascinated and easily seduced by adventure, like of just going out and doing something, going to a new place and things. And so any film that has got someone that goes on an adventure, it really resonates with me. Like, you know, all these people that you would never have met, like all these places you'd never have seen, the way the experience changes you. And so when you see this in a film, it really affects me on a sort of a kind of deep level. And it's like almost living vicariously, as it were, because I'm not allowed to just go on adventures anymore as much as I'd like to. But we get probably the thing that Indiana Jones is most famous for, and the most influential thing, which is a puzzle scene. That every bloody game from Resident Evil to Uncharted has these kind of puzzles in them, and I love it. I think it is wonderful. What did you think of this scene? With obviously there's the snakes, there's the descending into a dark cave to get a treasure.
I thought the snakes were done quite well, you know. Have I come in a bit too soon on the snakes? If not, let me know. But yeah.
No, because like they get hoisted down.
That's where he's going down, isn't it? And he's like, "Oh God, not snakes again," sort of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was done quite well. And then obviously, as it goes on, as the kind of scene goes on, eventually he manages to get rid of the snakes. But I thought it was quite good. Obviously, he's using he's lighting up the stick and stuff to kind of keep them away. And I don't know how they executed it, but I thought it was executed quite well. I think that was actually a part of the film where I thought the special effects were excellent.
I think they might have been real, quite a lot of the snakes, to be honest. There, like in the later Indiana Jones films, much more is made of his fear of snakes, where he's like almost like paralyzed by snakes. So it was a bit weird seeing him kind of functional around the snakes, but I do quite like that. Earlier on we saw Alfred Molina covered in tarantulas, and he just waves them off, not bothered, and then he's terrified by a pet snake. So here, this is kind of like one of his first like major internal tests, because this is the thing he fears the most: commitment and snakes. And so, like, once again, like to a scene that is basically a kind of wonder scene, and like it's almost like the high point of Indiana's journey. He's sort of defeated the Nazis in this moment. He finds the location of the Ark, and everything's good. But rather like the monkey with the dates, there's still this sort of like fission of tension and danger and trouble for him, and I think that's really, really cool, but not as cool as the map room, which is just awesome. Like putting the staff in, the sun coming out, the light hitting it. Oh, come on!
No, but I liked what I really liked is he puts the staff in, right, and then you see the amber beam just go right across. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool.
I also love this little detail where he had to sweep the dirt away to put the staff in, because actually, hang on, have we got confused here? Is the Ark? I don't think the snakes are in this scene, are they? I think that's when they dig up the Ark. This one, he just goes in, doesn't he?
I can't remember. You know what? You know what it is though. When obviously when he's going in different tombs, you know, because they all look the same. I promise I've watched this.
I must have seen this film 6 or 7 times, and I think I've
Yeah.
got that wrong. So I think this is the map room at Tanis, and they
Okay.
yeah, they do, because so
Double
the danger comes because Salah is outside and he's pretending to not speak English to Nazis, and like Indiana Jones has got to find a different way out. But the bit that I really liked is that the Nazis had stuck the staff in beforehand. So when Indiana Jones has to put his staff in, he's got to get all the dirt off, the sand and the dirt off the bit that he sticks it in, and it's just a little thing you get with practical effects that you don't get anymore. Like even when he's running away from the tribe at the beginning, you can see dust coming off his jacket, and with the exception of Django in Django Unchained, after he's blown up Quentin Tarantino, you don't kind of see those touches anymore in films. There is a bit too much special effects, and this is so cool that they really did this. And obviously, there's a kind of CGI moment with the light coming in, but once again, it plays back to that idea of light and shadow that we see throughout this film. And Indy is actually dressed all in white in this, and it's like it's a very sort of like biblical scene, as it should be. And I think it's one of the most like important and wonderful scenes in cinema, because it gives you a puzzle, but it shows the answer visually. Like, and also there's quite a bit of supernatural going on here, where it does like a sort of super laser beam at the end to burn where the ark is. So I love it.
Yeah. That's the scene. That's the scene with the map. That is the scene with the map room. That's where it's basically showing them where the Well of Souls is going to be, basically. So we kind of jumped ahead a little bit.
That's because I'm an idiot and I've got confused about one of my.
No, mate, don't call yourself an idiot, bro. I am an idiot. No, you're excited. Don't worry, it's fine.
All right, but look, then we get to them digging up. Then we get them getting to where the Holy Grail is. As we say, you get much more biblical horror elements coming in now, and then they pop in with the snakes and the statue, and there's snakes coming out of things' mouths and stuff like that. And they find
he bumps into Belloc, doesn't he? Before that. Sorry to interrupt, but
he meets Belloc before that.
He bumps into him, and Belloc doesn't even.
Yes, he does. You're right. And later, exactly the same thing happens at the U-boat, where he bumps into Belloc again when he's dressed as a Nazi, like literally bumps into him. So it's quite a nice. It's like poetry, isn't it? It's like a rhyme that happens. And once again, it shows that Belloc isn't the master of his world.
Yeah, and it kind of shows that he's so fixated on getting the prize, he's not actually thinking about what he's doing.
He can't see the wood for the trees, and that's how he's ended up with the Nazis. Kind of rhymes, literally.
Can't see past his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So then we get the scene with the snakes, and then Marion gets tossed in, and the Ark, and like you clearly understood this was the Ark of the Covenant when you saw it, yeah.
Hold on a second. Is this before he realizes she's alive? Have we skipped that bit, that scene?
No, that's after the map room.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he goes to the map room, and then he says that he's got to keep her tied up because they've got to take the Ark out, and if she's escaped, everyone's going to be looking everywhere, and it's quite
him and her.
Yeah, and it's a comedic scene. But it also kind of shows, like later on it's resolved, but it kind of shows Indy still sort of objectifying her a little bit. Like it contrasts with what you've said, actually, where he sees the bigger picture. Like he understands what happened if he frees her. So he is kind of, although he's chaotic and making things up as he goes along, he understands the world that he's in, and Belloc doesn't, and that's just another part of the sort of flip of the coin. But then, we get the scene with like Belloc is betrayed by the Nazis. Marion gets shoved in. with her, like, you know, her nice dress and her white shoes right into the pit of snakes. They're sealed off, ready to die like entombed lovers. And what were you thinking when you were watching this? Like, love it, hate it? What's going on?
Um, I was just laughing when she's looking up and she's screaming at him, saying, "I'm gonna get you for this." I thought, for crying out loud. And then it's quite funny as well because obviously she's jumping up on Indy's back, like, oh. So you realise it's not just him who's afraid of snakes; she's afraid of them as well. I thought that was quite cool. And I thought it was a bit. I found it a bit too simplistic how they managed to find a way out. I thought, oh, that was a bit easy, didn't you? Or did you?
What, by just getting up, like an archaeologist getting up on a totem pole and just ramming it through a wall made of snakes?
Yeah.
I think so. I think once again, I said at the beginning of this film, I think a lot of it is saved by its direction. And I think here the music also plays a huge part, where you get the Raiders march playing, da, 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 and then he just like kind of plays dominoes and goes through. But I think it is well explained and easy to understand that the snakes coming through the wall means there's an exit on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's not just like made up and he just goes, yeah, let's try this. It's improvisation. It's that moment, I suppose, of making order from chaos. Like they're in a chaotic situation. He looks at the facts and he gets himself out, and he doesn't really sort of think about it. I love that kind of stuff. But it is silly. I mean, the film is silly for a lot of it, but it's done sincerely and things. And I think Marion's really good here as a non-screamy, like, damsel in distress. Like, she's screaming a little bit, but she's like trying to do stuff, and I think she, like, you know, she's like throwing her shoes at snakes and things. And I also really like the gratuitous horror element they put in of where she's escaped the danger, and then all these mummies are coming out of the walls at her.
That bit was a bit crazy. I was like, oh my god.
He's mental, Spielberg. He loves like these kind of cheap shocks, as it were, and I thought it was. I thought that was actually quite well done, and I like the way Jones.
I did jump. You're gonna laugh at me, but I did jump because I didn't expect it. I jumped a little bit.
Yeah, he tortures
her. It took me by surprise. Yeah, it took me by surprise. That did.
Well, I love the way that Jones isn't bothered by it at all. Like.
He's like, it's not my first rodeo, you know what I mean?
Like, and then, exactly. He's like, whatever. Saw this in Peru, but what's so crazy?
Exactly.
It's from this moment onwards, he turns into like a superhero, and we've now got next thing. They burst out of a wall, like they see the Ark, and it's like, right, there's a jet plane. Well, we can fly that. And then they have this crazy set piece, like
this fight with a giant, some wrestler or whatever he is. That was brilliant. That fight scene was so cool. I like that.
What did you like about it?
I thought it was creative how they thought, you know, getting rid of him, because he was never going to beat him in a fist fight, so it was only going to end up with something else happening, and then you kind of guessed that, oh shit, it's a propeller headed for his head. But I like the way they executed it. I thought it was done really well. Again, it's outrageous violence that we see throughout this whole film, really.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what I thought, when I was watching it again, what I thought was really cool about this scene is, let's just take it as a mini movie. The giant Nazi is actually portrayed as being quite honourable in this scene. And Jones, on the other hand, he's throwing dirt in his face and trying to cheat and stuff like that. And then you've got the tension of the fire very, very slowly coming towards a tank of gas that is going to blow up, and Marion can't get out of the plane. So there's quite a lot of like interesting, like, of different things going on. But I think you're meant to feel sympathy when the Nazi gets chopped up by the propeller, because he's been all right during the fight scene. You know, he just takes his shirt off and goes, at last, a real challenge. And then Indy kind of points at the. It's almost like Indy warns him about dying.
He does look at it.
Yeah,
he looks at it behind him.
And I felt that scene only worked, and it's like it's so gory. I mean, you don't really see any blood, but it's very implied what is going on.
You see a little bit. You see the blood coming up on. I think where does it go? It goes all over the.
It goes on the windscreen or whatever it's called on the plane and on the propeller. But I think it's so important they make the Nazi an all right Nazi there. Like in terms of he's just doing it for the love of the game. You know, like, and that's why I think his death kind of hits home. Like later on in one of the fourth Indiana Jones films, there's an absolutely horrific scene where driver ants capture a Russian soldier and drag him into their nest, and you know, like so just like loads of ants pick him up and off he goes. And it reminded me of this scene of like easily the worst death in the film for me. Well, actually, maybe when you get melted by the Angel of Death or whatever that was at the end.
Yeah, I think the end is definitely the most gruesome thing.
But right, and then so these are just action scenes that I think are highly enjoyable. And then we get a car chase, which is one of the craziest things I think has been filmed, because V in the comments is talking about it, but the bit where Harrison Ford gets thrown out of the front of the car and goes underneath it, then gets back in and kicks the bloke out. I think that is based on one of the most famous stunts ever done in Hollywood in like the 1920s from a film called Stagecoach. And it is wild watching it again, because I know the car's going at 5 miles an hour. I know that they've dug a big ditch, so he's not going to get crushed. But he actually does it, the stuntman. It's wicked. It really... Have you seen the film Nobody with Bob Odenkirk?
No, but I'll have to watch it. I'll have to write it down at the end.
Oh, you like it? All right. Well, basically, there's a bit... I'll send you the clip on YouTube. There's a bit where he fights loads of people, gets kicked out of a bus, and then comes back on. And... I think that, like, in this, I absolutely love the fact the Nazi is driving the car, and then he looks in the wing mirror, and the bloke he's just run over is coming back, and then Jones comes in and kicks him out, and he has to do it, but he can't do it, so he dies. And it's just this crazy car chase. I don't know what you can really say about it, except it's just, this is the bit where he gets shot as well. This is the bit where it's I think, a little bit too much.
I think it went over the top.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a very funny bit where 4 Nazis just get knocked off the road, and it turns out in Egypt there's a gorge that is 60 miles deep or something, like, which obviously isn't the case, but it's just, it gets a little bit cartoony here. I don't hate it. It's just, when I was watching it, I was like, this is just so insane, what is going on?
I guess, I don't know. I don't think they've tried to cram too much in. I think they're trying to like make the film so obviously it starts off going like along a little channel, and then they want to build it up. They want to build it all the way up to the top, like towards the end. I think that's what happens. I didn't mind the chase scene. I thought it was all right.
I'd have liked him on the horse for longer because...
yeah, I like that. I love that scene when the horse comes. That was really good.
Do you know what I loved about it? Is that the crowd reacted to him on the horse.
Yeah.
Like, as he runs past, they're all like, yeah! Like, I thought that was quality because you just don't see that anymore in film. You don't... If I saw someone doing something cool, you know, like if I see someone on a canal boat, I can't help but wave at them. It's like a reflex. Do you know what I mean? And it's I love that bit, is that, you know, in the desert and stuff. I'd love him to have been on the horse for longer. And
I don't think the extras are actually having to act that scene. I think they're genuinely probably thinking, you know, they're proper like excited to be on set.
Yeah, like this is good.
Of course it is, yeah. Good scene.
Yeah, so it's just this crazy chase, and I've got to be honest, I don't know where Marion is at this point. But then
we kind of lose her, don't we?
Well, yeah, but we then get to the trawler or the boat or whatever, and Marion's there. They've got the ark. It looks good. You know, he knows these guys. They're family. Everything's fine. And then you get by far my favourite scene in the whole film by a country mile, and it's exactly the same as what just happened. It's where's Indy? There he is. And then it plays the music, and he's on a fucking U-boat, and they're all cheering in the background, and he salutes them. I absolutely love it.
I like that.
But with this scene, like what did you think? Because we get Black coming back, he takes Marion. We get, you know, we've talked about the captain saying, "Leave me the girl."
Yeah.
Like what did you think here? Was this just like, oh, for God's sake, like? Or what were you thinking?
You know what? I'm getting kind of impatient at this point because I'm thinking, please just get to the Well of Souls, and this, because I'm kind of like thinking I want to see what happens with the Ark of the Covenant now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just thinking. I think it wasn't because it was dragging or anything like that. I just think I was quite eager to I wanted to see the resolution, if you know what I mean. And it was it's taken us a long time to kind of get there because it's like a 2-hour film, isn't it? It's a long film, man. Very long.
Well, I remember thinking that this is a bit mental, that they've actually got a submarine and 2 boats.
Yeah.
Like, this seems like boys with their toys. But as I say, that's one of my favourite scenes in cinema, is when he's saluting at them and they're all waving at him, because it's like, it's also, right, from a sort of writing perspective, this is where the B story crosses with the A story. Where is he going to save the Ark, or is he going to save Marion?
Yeah.
And I really, really like that. Because they obviously have this love scene beforehand, which I think is actually quite. Sorry?
That's when they're on the captain's boat, the black captain.
Yeah, I think that's done quite well, because it's quite sexy where she's going, "Does it hurt here?" And he kisses. He's been shot and stuff. Yeah. And then he just falls asleep. And I quite like that they can't be together. Do you know what? Something's got to be resolved with Indiana before they can be together. And then and also the other thing that I wanted to ask is, does he hang on the side of the boat, or does he get in the submarine for you?
It looks like he's hanging.
Yeah. Because I'm absolutely sure that the cut they showed on BBC Scotland, he gets into the U-boat and he punches a guy and puts their uniform on and ties him up. But the cut that I watched, it didn't have that scene. So I don't know if I've made that up in my head or if that happened. But I remember thinking, this does look like he's just hung on the side of the submarine from Cairo to Crete, or like an island off Crete. But
now a lot of the things they've done from the old movies, I don't know why they've done this, because it annoys me, but they've cut a lot of stuff from all the old movies. So if we watch Indiana Jones on the TV, a lot of that scene that you remember might not be there because they'll cut it, because they might think they deem it too violent. But I think the version I watched, I think I did see him punch somebody.
Okay, I watched I watched the latest one in 4K. Okay. Honestly, get yourself a good TV, Tyrone. It's wonderful. Yeah. Like
OLED.
Yeah. It's great. But I think this is really cool, where you don't know if he's going after the Grail or if he's going after Marion. And what's so cool about this, right, is Indiana Jones is going after Marion. Dr. Jones is going after the Grail, and I think this is where those two sides have come together. So he is like his highest potential, and in the same way, you know, we talk about the Jungian idea of integrating your shadow. He's integrated the order with the chaos, and he's got a plan. And we further see that, right, when he's got the bazooka. He's because Indiana Jones, I'm sorry, he has no problems blowing shit up. Like, he does it. But the Dr. Jones in him won't do it. He won't do it. And then, like, this is more of an epilogue, to be honest. Like, it's a very short final act. Like
He tells them though, doesn't he? He tells them, I'll blow up the ark right here and now. And obviously, Belloc, he calls his bluff and says, do it.
Because Belloc knows who he is. Because he is Belloc.
He knows him. He knows, they both know each other inside out. 100%.
But it's like, what I thought was really weird is we might have disagreement about the act structure, but because we then get that map again with the red arrow going across, I think that this is Act 3. And I think it's so short. It mirrors the first act in just how short it is. And it's almost exactly the same, where you start off in the same situation where Indy is basically by himself and Belak is with the local power.
Yeah.
And they're both after the same thing. And Belak says to him, look, there's nothing you've got that I can't take. And it's just, it's the same as it always was. But what changes here is that I think for me, it's implied that by getting in touch with Marion, he's kind of accepting that there are powers greater than he is. Here, it's not folklore, it's real. So they close their eyes to the light when they open the ark, and then we get the kind of inglorious Nazi bastard killing scene.
But you know what I found interesting? It's funny how Belloc and his cronies, they have no idea that they're not supposed to look at this, because possibly they've not done their research. They've not done their diligent research because they're just interested in getting it. Whereas at the beginning, obviously, is it Marcus? He tells him, he blames him. And they're also, obviously, Indiana Jones knows about the Ark. He's obviously read up on the history. So you kind of see everything we've seen leading up to this from the beginning. He basically tells her, close your eyes. And for some reason, because she doesn't always listen to him in the film, but this time she decides, I trust you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to look. Found that quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we talked earlier about how Belak isn't like Belak thinks he's the master of the world, but isn't. And in this, he looks at it, right, because he's greedy. Like, that's what you said that earlier, didn't you? That he's greedy and things like that. And the Nazis are greedy for power. And they all want it and they get done. But Indiana Jones, at this point, it's about the girl. It's not about the ark. It's about the girl and how they've got to sort of survive it. And in some ways, it makes him a better archaeologist with a better understanding of the old world and the new world. And I think that these are quite subtle things that kind of make sense, because if he hadn't have gone through all his adventures, because we see him starting off, his starting point is, don't believe folklore. And his end point is, don't look at the fucking ark.
Yeah, don't look at it. Yeah,
he's a believer. He now,
but maybe he believes because obviously they start laughing at him when they see that when Belloc first opens it, they laugh because it's just sand, and obviously when things start to change, maybe it's just that fear. Maybe it's not because he's done the research. Maybe he's just scared.
Well, you must have heard me talking about fear and greed, like on the agenda and stuff. That's exactly what it is. It's fear versus greed, the two most common motivators. I love that bit. And then the epilogue is quite nice, isn't it? He's with Marion. The US have taken the ark. But I want to ask you, in the warehouse, you see the ark and you see it getting put away, and there's two cool things.
Reminded me of Family Guy.
Okay. Well, I thought the first touch was really cool. Is that on the submarine, we saw the ark burn the Nazis' logo, the swastika and things.
Yeah.
We don't see that happening in the US. So, USA.
So basically, it's a subtle thing to say, America, we're the good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's very difficult to not be the good guys compared to the Nazis, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
But when you see all of the other boxes, because it's put in as just a standard box, do you feel like there could be more crazy shit there, or do you feel it's just been hidden away?
I found it a bit unfulfilling because I thought, okay, they've got the arc. Is that it? Are they not going to do anything with it? They're just going to leave it locked away forever? And I thought, God, is that it? That's what I was thinking anyway. Um, and I think by that point, I was probably still trying to kind of get over the special effects that I'd seen with the face melting scenes. I thought, bloody hell. I thought they'd done them quite well, actually. Looked a bit
Oh
real.
yeah, it's great. Like,
Yeah. Especially the ghost that comes out of the thing. I thought they'd done that quite well, actually.
oh yes, it kind of
How- yeah.
changes. It's all
Yeah.
nice, isn't it? And
You see a
stuff.
face. Yeah, you see the face change.
Yeah, like that,
Yeah.
very kind of Ghostbusters. I think, like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the library. Like, I love. I think it's great. So, unless you want to talk to chat, because Bilal is obviously complaining.
Yeah, Bilal, it's not that we're not wanting to engage with the chat, mate. It's just we're kind of getting kind of like excited and passionate about what we've watched. We're not deliberately ignoring you, so I'm just letting you know that.
And you have to remember that Tyrone has never hosted like on this software or done anything like this. So eventually we're going to work out a format, and we're probably going to go on to Spotify and things like that. But at the moment,
Yeah.
this is just trying things out. So appreciate the feedback and
Yeah,
all
we
this
appreciate
sort of
it.
stuff.
We're not taking it as a criticism. We appreciate it. One
Yeah.
thing I want people in the chat to do, I want you guys to give us questions or let us know what your favorite scenes were. Yeah, we want it to.
Yeah, let's give them some feedback, Tyrone.
Yeah.
It's always us,
Yeah.
isn't it, that gets feedback. It's quite difficult, to be honest, with a lot of the comments. A lot of them are about trivia and things that most people would know. Like, no one talks about why they like the film or disagrees with what we're saying or offers different points, which we'd love you to sort of do, because that is how you get to the truth of the matter or a better understanding. So like, it's kind of two ways, but like, look, we'll get better at this, and I'm gonna tell you now, it's really difficult hosting a show when you're really engaged in the material, because you switch off and you're kind of in the moment, and it takes a very long time to be good, to get like good at it. But Mr. Williams, what are your overall thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I'm gonna be honest. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna be like rushing to watch Temple of Doom because it's not my kind of film. However, I can appreciate the fact that it was a very difficult film to execute, and for me, I think Harrison Ford, in terms of his charisma and how he plays Indiana Jones, is brilliant. I should know the actor who played Belloc, but I'll just say Belloc. I thought he was very
Yeah,
fantastic antagonist. And Marion, John Rhys Davis, again, one of my favorite characters in it, because I thought he gave a nice contrast in a world full of like horrible men who want to kind of get an arc for evil purposes. He was the one nice family man within the whole piece, which was beautiful. I thought there was a good range of different characters, which I loved. That was pretty much it.
What score would you give it? What do you remember? What you gave Sinners and Interstellar?
I think I gave Interstellar at 8 or 9, probably a 9. Sinners I gave a 7. I'd probably give this about a 6, maybe. What would you give it?
I'll give it an 8.
An 8, fair enough.
But it's, a lot of that is based off my childhood, to be honest. And I think Indiana Jones is something that has resonated through the ages. And like, as the more we do these, you'll see what a slut I am for adventure. For anyone that goes out on an adventure, it really gets to me. Like, I that new world, the excitement, meeting new people, I can't get enough of it. And Bilal and Vive said, so V's favourite scene is the truck scene, and Bilal likes the propeller scene.
The propeller scene I thought it was executed really well, especially when they're fighting on top of the actual plane. I thought it was excellent. Yeah, I did like that scene. For me, you know what? I think the scenes that I loved the most were obviously the family scene where you first meet Salah's family and all the kids and the wife.
Yeah,
I loved all the scenes with Marion and Indy when they're together and stuff. I thought they were quite nice. And I really loved the scene where he's in the classroom and you've got all these students. I
yeah.
don't know why, when they're just obviously in awe, in admiration of him. And I just love the fact that you see how awkward he is because he's completely different from the guy who goes out on all these adventures. I thought that was a good contrast.
Yeah, and then you see
Yeah,
him a bit more relaxed at the end of the film with Marion, like in that
yeah,
kind of environment.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, for me, I've said my favourite scene, which is him saluting from the U-boat with the music playing. I absolutely loved it. Bilal's given us a 7.5. No halves, Bilal. 7 or an 8. There's no half measures on this show. But we should probably think about what we're going to watch this week, and it's one of your films. I think it's a bit too early for horror films, isn't it? I know it's October, but maybe.
Yeah, we don't have to jump into a horror straight away. I'm trying to think of a film that you might like, though. I don't want to choose something that you're not going to want to watch. I want to choose something good.
All right, I'll get up our list.
Okay.
What film would you like? What type of film would you like to watch?
Should we ask the chat? Should we let them choose?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
What Bilal? All right, football movies and quizzes. I'll call you Tully if you want to be called Tully. What type of film would you like to watch? Like adventure, sci-fi, comedy, action? Like first one that comes up.
All right, hold on a sec. Let me address this comment. Yeah, sorry. All right, your name's Tully. We'll call you Tully from now on, mate. So, what was you saying?
I was saying, like, if Bilal or Tully could give us, like, just a genre. Martial arts, oh, for God's sake, right. What martial... Right, it's Enter the Dragon, isn't it?
Yeah, Enter the Dragon, man. Enter the Dragon.
All right.
Okay. Dragon.
I'm not a fan of martial art films. I've never seen a Bruce Lee film.
Well, I honestly, I know how much you love I know how much you love Indiana Jones, right? Enter the Dragon. If you thought Indiana Jones was good, this is just incredible film.
Enter the Dragon.
Great film. I love Enter the Dragon. The fight scenes are absolutely unbelievable. They're so good. He's the best martial artist on camera that I've ever seen. And I've seen a few.
I bet you Jackie Chan is better than him.
He's not. Jackie Chan doesn't come anywhere close. And Jackie Chan is in Enter the Dragon. You'll see him.
Is he? Okay, it's Jackie Chan film. I'm on board then.
He's not a Jackie Chan film, but he plays one of the stuntmen. But you'll see him. He's one of the guys in the film. I'll point him out after you've watched.
All right, we're watching Enter the Dragon. Is our next film, and I'm going with this with very low expectations. But yeah, like no, it's one of your favorite films, isn't it? So I'm going to be interested by this, and might have some updates on the film that we're making next week, I suppose.
We will do, yeah. Shall I tell you why I love Enter the Dragon?
Okay. Give me the preview. Give me the preview. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not gonna speak about the film at all because I don't want to say anything that will spoil it. But the reason I liked it was because when I first started watching Bruce Lee films, I watched all the ones that he'd done in Hong Kong, and all the ones that he'd done in Hong Kong had the English dubbing over them. So I was watching it as a kid. I'd never even knew what the guy sounded like. But Enter the Dragon is the first film where he came to mainstream American audiences in Hollywood, and it's the first film where we hear his actual voice. And yeah, it's a brilliant film. He's a good actor. I don't think he was just a good martial artist. I think he's a good actor as well. So he was a child actor in Hong Kong. So
nice.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Sorry to bore you, but you'll enjoy it.
No, I'm not bored. I'm just sort of thinking about how I'm going to sell this one to Sarah. We've got to watch a 30-year-old like film. Okay. All right. Well, that's what we're doing next week. It's going to be Enter the Dragon. Well, thank you for having me, Tyrone.
No, it's been really enjoyable. I don't want anyone to think I've like slated this film because honestly, even though I've only given it a 6, I actually did enjoy it. There were things that I did love about it. I think for me it was just obviously certain things like portraying certain stereotypes I didn't like, and perhaps maybe if I'd watched it back in the day, the special effects I would have appreciated them a bit more. For me, they're a bit dated, but yeah, it was a good film.
Yeah, no, there's no I've got no problem with someone having a different opinion to me on a film. And six is still above average.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember, at one point, I'm going to make you watch a film from the 1950s. So don't worry about it. If you don't like the film, or if you think it's okay or whatever, no problem. I'm not going to get mad about that, unless it's Dead Poets Society, which is fucking shit. Hate it. Hate it.
As long as it's not adulthood or kidulthood, I'll be happy with whatever you choose. So.
Oh, I haven't seen those. Are they on the list?
Oh my God, no.
Are they bad?
Yeah.
Because I'm
not kidulthood's alright, but adulthood, I didn't like adulthood.
Have you seen a film called The Skeleton Key?
No, I haven't.
Right, I'm gonna add that to the list for Halloween. Because when you were talking about something, it reminded me of The Skeleton Key. I'm sure you, like me, you suddenly remember a film that you wish you'd put on the list. Ones.
I've got
Like when I suddenly remembered Lawrence of Arabia existed.
There's actually an old horror film that I don't know if you've seen. It's called Serpent and the Rainbow. I don't know if you've seen that.
Does it have Hugh Grant in it?
No, but it's got the actor who plays Christina Ricci's father in Casper the Friendly Ghost. He's the main guy in it. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But I'm
thinking of The Lair of the Serpent Woman. I haven't seen that one. Is it a horror film?
Rainbow. It's a horror, but honestly, it was set in the late 80s or maybe mid to late 80s, and it's just, in terms of special effects, you wouldn't even know. For me, I couldn't even tell that they were dated. They were done so well. And it is quite, for me, even by today's standards, it might not scare everybody, but I found it quite freaky watching it.
Yeah,
interesting.
The Skeleton Key has the most horrific horror concept to me, which is, I'll tell you what, we'll do Enter the Dragon, and then we'll do horror films for the rest of October. Okay. Yeah, you're right with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, should we?
Yeah, we're going to head off in a bit, but I just want to say thank you to I Am Titanium. I want to say thank you to Football Movies and Quizzes. You've been brilliant in the comments. I just want to say thank you to Bilal for giving us decent feedback. Honestly, I'm getting better at this. I will get even better. And just be patient with me. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, thank you. And thank you, Bath Time, for being a brilliant host. I've really enjoyed our discussion tonight.
You hosted it.
Thank you for. All right. Thank you for being a good guest, should I say?
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next week.
I'll make you a cup of tea next time.